All right, kids. So, welcome to the first video. This is now my fourth take. I'm going to get better at it, though. Trust me. All right. Just found out I can be certified in this. So, we're talking about safety and safety dances, and those look like S's. Look at that. All right. I gave you a long list of the Flynn rules, and the idea was that you'd read through them all with your parents so you understood how to be safe. And to be honest, if I was given a list of 60, 70 rules, whatever it was, and I had that for every class that you have, it may get pushed aside a little. So here is the big breakdown of what you need to know as modeled by a minion. You need to always wear eye protection when requested. We talked about the goggles, how I got the special goggles that are more comfortable for you to wear. So there's no reason not to wear them now. You need to wear those when I tell you to wear them because accidents don't announce when they're going to happen. They just happen. And if your eyes are in danger, we need to make sure they're covered. So you need to wear goggles as requested when we're doing a lab that will be of hazard to your eyes. You need to tie your hair back if you have long hair because hair will catch on fire. And if we have, or it will fall into chemicals or whatever. And it's just nice to have your hair tied back, especially long hair. If it's on fire, that's going to be very, if you're whipping your head around and there's fire there, that's like video game madness. So let's not do that. Let's tie our hair back so it's all controlled and we know where it is and we know where it's staying away from our face and from what it is we're looking at. Closed-toed shoes and long pants will protect your skin and feet if we're dealing with something. Like I said, we're not going to do too much of stuff that's going to hurt you, but even something that's very hot wouldn't be good if it fell on your foot. If we're heating something up, you might be like, oh, I just need shorts today or whatever. But no, if that falls off the bench and onto your leg or your foot, it'd be nice if you had long pants or closed-toed shoes to protect you from a burn. So those are going to be requested frequently. Don't eat or drink back there in the lab. We try to keep it clean, but there's chemicals back there, and you don't want to have any of these chemicals go in you. So we don't ever use those tables for food or whatever. Those are strictly a lab area and should not be uh, used for food. Read the instructions carefully. That's a good way to keep yourself safe, is to know what it is you're doing. And if you have any questions, if something's not clear to you out of the gate, you can figure that out in advance and ask me about it before you do it. Bring all questions and hazards to my attention. So if you think you're supposed to do one thing and your lab partner thinks you're supposed to do another, then I'm going to be the tiebreaker. You need to come to me and I will tell you which it is the way to do it. Also, if, as we talked about, if something spills, if something breaks, any hazard in the room, you do the little safety dance and I will come and clean it up or make sure everyone's doing all right with it. And the last thing is absolutely no horseplay. This is a huge problem every year. I don't know why. If we're crowded, there's 30 kids in a lab, and we're all sort of back in that half of the lab, half of the classroom where the lab is. And if you are goofing around and horseplaying and someone sort of jumps back, they could run into someone that's behind them who could be handling a flame or some chemical. All right. It's not, that is not the time for that. So there can't be horseplay when we're doing labs and that's just going to make you, I'm just going to kick people out at that point. That's too much to deal with. And if you can't be mature when you're doing lab stuff, then it's safe for everybody that you're not involved in lab. Okay. So these are the COSHH symbols. We're just going to go through them. You should be able to identify these based on the picture. That's what they're hoping. They're sort of international symbols that you don't need to speak any one language to understand what they mean. And I think I give you these as a sort of a word bank, so you don't have to absolutely memorize every word that's under each symbol. You just need to be able to match it up, basically. So here, this first one, you have a tree with no leaves and a fish that's upside down in a lake that looks like the state of Virginia, and the lake is black. And that screams to us that that is dangerous to the environment. And hopefully you can figure that out from the picture. Now, skull and crossbones, you all know, means that something is toxic. This thing, and I still just now remembered again, I should try to find that picture. My cousin sent me a picture. This is supposed to look like, it looks like a mallet, but it's supposed to look like not a whack-a-mole, but an air tank. And if you have an elderly family member who needs oxygen, they would carry that tank around. That looks something like that. But that means that there's gas under pressure. That's what it's trying for. This one's one of my favorite, where they have a chemical in a test tube and they're pouring it on what looks like a board, and it's eating through the board. And they're also pouring it on a hand, and it's eating through the hand. So from that, you can realize that it is corrosive. Hopefully you know what that word means. It means it corrodes, right? It breaks up like that. This thing looks like a tetherball, or right? Isn't that what that game is that Napoleon Dynamite plays? Like a string with a ball, and the ball's exploding. And so that means explosive. All right. This one, again, pretty self-explanatory. It's a flame. Flame means fire, flammable. This exclamation point is basically a catch-all. It's, if not anything else that we have listed here, then we still put this on. So if it was skin irritant or an eye irritant or something, none of these say eye irritant. So you can put that on almost any chemical that has some danger to it. Now this one is a little tricky. So they're both flames here, but this one has an O in it. And that O means it is oxidizing. And you may have heard of antioxidants, right? It's good to eat those. And that's, we'll talk about that some this year. So oxidizing, for all intent and purposes, it does a lot of things. It makes something lose electrons, but because of that, it can become flammable. And so it's a flammable, it'll catch on fire, but for different reasons. So they put the O in there. And then this poor guy, so you can see this is sort of a silhouette of a person, and something has gotten hold of this person, and he's falling apart from the inside. And that means that long-term health hazard, like it's cancer causing or carcinogenic. So that's what that means. So like I said, this is more of a matching situation. I'm not going to ask you to pull these words out of air, but you should certainly understand the gist of these. I might ask you to explain in your own words what might happen, but I'm not going to ask you, specifically what is that, and if you don't say flammable, you're wrong. That won't happen. All right. So then a couple other symbols that if you're walking down the street and you see a fence with these on, you should run away. This symbol here means that there is radioactivity held within. And this symbol here, which you may notice from sci-fi movies, means that there's a biohazard held there. And you should turn around and walk away. All right. Good information there. And we'll try this. The NFPA, so the National Fire Protection Association, you may recognize this little diamond. You'll see it on grocery stores and hardware stores. And what it does is it allows firefighters, as they're running into a building, to see what it is they're running into. So if you have anything that's hazardous, and like I said, grocery stores are going to have things that are hazardous. Certainly hardware stores are going to have things, schools to some extent. We should have something like this somewhere, because we have the gas jets in our lab. So they have different colors, and each color has a different meaning. As you can see, blue means health, and you can think of that with the medical stuff. The symbol, the two snakes wrapped, that's usually in blue, and health insurance, and hospitals try to stay blue. Red means it's flammable. That should be also pretty obvious to you. And yellow, they gave to instability, or what we're going to call reactivity. And then there's a white diamond, and that's a special hazard. So these colors are just helpful to, colors, and makes it quick and easy to read. So as the fireman's running in, if he sees a big number here, that means it's bad for that. So high numbers are bad, and the highest number it can be is 4. Low number, 0, means it's fine. Don't worry about that. So if they're running into a building that has a 0 on the red, that means there's nothing in there that will burn. Don't worry about it as far as that goes. If they see something that's a 4 or a 3 or even a 2, then they know be careful for this reason, for health or for stability. All right. And the special is white. So we ask that you memorize where these are on a label, and that's just because the labels often don't pay for color. And if you see a label that has something like this on there, there may be no color associated with it. So you should memorize the order. And the order, it turns out, is alphabetical going down. So flammable is the first letter in the alphabet that you would have of these. So that is on top. And then health is the next letter in the alphabet that you would hit. So F comes before H comes before R comes before S. So flammability would be on the top, health and reactivity next to each other with health on the left, and special would be on the bottom. And as you can see here on this bottle, there's no colors. So glacial acetic acid, you would have to know that health is here. So that's a pretty big health hazard. And flammability is here. It's pretty flammable. It is not, however, very reactive. So, and there is no special code for this. So there you go with that. So again, I don't need to get into this again, but if you want to look through these, health hazard blue, low number, not a problem. High number is a problem. I will not ask you to memorize these. It'll be more of a relative thing. So I won't say which number of blue is corrosive. Don't worry about that kind of thing. But this is just to show you where the colors are and what the numbers mean. But basically, you need to know high numbers are bad, goes up to 4, low numbers, not a problem. All right. And I think that's all we're going to talk about right there. And I'll start another lab here in a second, another video rather.